Okay, we have to proceed. We're still on page 119. Commercial law for business students. Strict liability defined. The formulation of strict liability that most courts use is set out here to fall. Here in full. Number one who sells any product in a defective condition, unreasonably dangerous to the user or consumer or to his property, is subject to liability for physical harm theory caused to the ultimate user or consumer or to his property if A, the seller is engaged in the business of selling such products, and B, it is expected to and does reach the user or consumer without substantial change in the condition in which it is sold. Number two, the rule applies even though A, the seller has exercised all possible care in the preparation and sale of this product, and B, the user or consumer has not bought the product from or entered into and contractual relations with the seller. Product in a defective condition. Product in a defective condition: sales of goods but not sales of services, covered under defective product liability. Furthermore, the plaintiff will not prevail if the product was safe for normal handling and consumption when sold. A glass of soda bottle that is properly capped is not in a defective condition merely because it can be broken if the consumer should happen to drop it, making the jugged glass dangerous. Chocolate candy bars are not defective merely because you can become ill by eating too many of them at once. On the other hand, a seller would be liable for a product defectively packaged so that it could explode or deteriorate and change its chemical composition. A product can also be in a defective condition if there is danger that could come from an anticipated wrongful use, such as a drug that is safe only when taken in limited doses. Under those circumstances, failure to place an adequate dosage warning on the container makes the product defective. The plaintiff bears the burden of proving that the product is in defective condition, and that burden can be difficult to meet. Many products are the result of complex feats of engineering. Expert witnesses are necessary to prove that the product were defectively manufactured, and these are not always easy to come by. This difficulty of proof is one reason why many cases raise the failure to warn as the dispositive issue, since the right case that issue is far easier to prove. The product unreasonably dangerous. The product is unreasonably dangerous. The product must be not merely dangerous but unreasonably dangerous. Most products have characteristics that make them dangerous in certain circumstances. The article sold must be dangerous to an extent beyond that which would be contemplated by the ordinary consumer who purchases it, with the ordinary knowledge common to the community as its characteristics. Even high risks of danger are not necessarily unreasonable. Some products are unavoidably unsafe. Rabies vaccines, for example, can cause dreadful side effects, but the disease itself, almost always fatal, is worse. A product is unavoidably unsafe when it cannot be made safe for its intended purpose, given the present state of human knowledge, because important benefits may flow from the product's use. Its producer or seller ought not to be held liable for its danger. Right now, we are going to study sellers engaged in a business of selling. Liability is limited to sellers engaged in the business of selling such a product. The rule is intended to apply to people and entities engaged in business, not to casual, on-time sellers. The business need not be solely in the defective product. A movie theater that sells popcorn with a razor blade inside is no less liable than a grocery store that does so. But strict liability under this rule does not attach to a private individual who sells his own automobile. In this sense, in analogs to the limitation of the warranty of merchantability to the merchant. Product reaches the user without change in condition. Products reaches the user, the consumer, the customer, without change in condition. Strict liability is limited to those defective products that are expected to and do reach the user or consumer without substantial change in the condition in which the products are sold. A product that is safe when delivered cannot subject the seller to liability if it is subsequently mishandled or changed. The seller, however, in this case, must anticipate and foresee in appropriate cases that the product will be stored. So he has to store them perfectly and without any defective. Fourthly, packaging or sterilization may be the grounds for liability if the product deteriorates before being used. Liability despite exercise of all due care. Liability despite exercise of all due care. Strict liability applies even though the seller has exercised all possible care in the preparation and sale of his product. This is the crux of strict liability and distinguishes it from the conventional theory of negligence. It does not matter how reasonably the seller acted or how exemplary is a manufacturer's quality control system. What matters is whether the product was defective and the